Hey everybody, welcome back to the Legacy Center YouTube channel. My name is Mike Chiskowski, and we're going to follow up on our last video where we got into the 5 pillars of health. As a refresher, those 5 pillars as I see it are exercise, nutrition, sleep and recovery, stress management, and then the community that you belong to, that you surround yourself with. All of those things play a huge role in your health. But today, as promised, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into one, and it's going to be exercise today. So my goal with this video is not to try and convince you that exercise is important, because I don't think that there's really a debate there. And if you're watching this, you probably understand that, hey, exercise is important. What I see more than anything is people not knowing where to start or knowing what to do. So as I see it, the most important thing in my mind is changing your mindset around exercise. Okay, now if you enjoy exercise, then this next minute isn't for you. But if you don't, all right, we got to figure out a way for you to enjoy it. Okay, whatever you enjoy doing, or at least don't mind doing, is going to be the best program for you. Okay, if you hate running, then don't run. Okay, don't force yourself to run a marathon just because you think that that's a good way to get in shape. Okay, figure out something that you will do and something that you will do long term, and stick with that. All right, and if your goals change later on, or you want to try something later on, then we can do that. But do something that you enjoy, because exercise is supposed to make you feel better. It's not supposed to be a punishment to your body. All right, look at it as something you're doing for your body, not something you're doing to your body. Okay, that being said, what I want to cover is the different types of exercise. All right, and so basically there's 5 different types or categories of exercise as I see it. So you have strength training, you have steady state cardiovascular training, you have high intensity interval training, you have flexibility training, and then you have NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which would basically be anything that burns calories. So this is the rest of your day. These are the things that happen in the gym. This happens the rest of the day. So that could be walking, that could be biking, playing with your kids, doing yard work, whatever that may be. And so while you can say that some of those things would fall into one of the other categories, for the sake of this video, we're just going to say that it falls into the category of NEAT. Okay, strength training, weightlifting, body weight, even gymnastics, that can be strength training. Steady state cardiovascular work would be getting out and going for a run, riding your bike at a higher level than just an easy ride. Mountain biking would fall into that category. High intensity interval training would be short bouts of high intensity work, followed by longer periods of recovery. Okay, you don't have to be completely recovered when you do your intervals, but you shouldn't be gasping for air as you start your next interval. Okay, that will defeat the purpose. Flexibility training can be dynamic or static flexibility, static stretching. It could be gymnastics, it can be dance, it can be yoga. All of those things will help to improve flexibility, and actually strength training can actually help your flexibility as well. And then lastly would be the NEAT category. So again, the walks and everything that happens outside of the structured exercise time. And so what I see a lot is people knowing they need to work out, people saying they're ready to work out, but not really knowing what to do. And that can be because one friend they have tells them they need to run, one friend they have tells them they need to do yoga because it's the best thing in the world, the other one says they need to lift weights, and they could all be right. But it's going to depend a lot on what your goal is. And so everybody's goal when working out falls into one of 3 categories as I see it. So you are either there to look better, you're there to perform better, or you're there to feel better. Now it can be a couple of these, all right, but figure out what your primary goal is and let's work towards that, because chances are the other 2 are going to be byproducts as well. All right. If your goal is to feel better, all right, and you do the right things, chances are you're going to look a little bit better. You're going to lose a little bit of weight. But what I want to do is kind of help you figure out what your goal is and then match it up to the different types of exercise. Okay. I will preface this by saying all 5 categories are important and they can be important to everybody. Okay. But we don't all have hours and hours in the day to spend working out. So what I want to do is kind of help you determine your priorities as we set up a program for you. Okay. And so I would say that if your goal is to look better, most people want to burn a little bit of body fat. They want to build a little bit of muscle. Your primary goal, your first priority when it comes to exercise is going to be strength training. Okay. Lift the weights, push yourself, all right? Put your body in a position that it hasn't been in before. Build a little bit of muscle. Building muscle will help increase your metabolic rate so you burn more calories through the course of the day. Lifting weights is going to help you become more sensitive to insulin, all right? So you're going to be able to handle carbohydrates a little bit better, all right? And then after the strength training, I would say that the next priority beyond that would be high intensity interval training, followed by what you do outside of the gym. The NEAT would be next. Flexibility and cardio will fall at the end somewhere. All right. If your goal is to feel better, this is going to depend a little bit on where you're coming from. Okay. If you're coming from a place of not doing anything in a really long time, then the non-exercise activity stuff is going to be probably the first thing. Start walking. Walk for 10 minutes 3 times a day. Walk for a half hour once a day. Do what you can handle, but keep the intensity low. All right. Strength training and flexibility will come next. All right. Again, it's going to depend on where you're at and what you want to do. But if you stretch and you lift a little bit of weight, you are going to feel better. Might be sore a little bit at the beginning, but in the end, it's going to help you. All right. And then the cardiovascular and the interval stuff will come later. All right. Now, where it gets a little bit trickier is if your goal is performance. All right. So the performance goal, what the end goal is going to dictate what your priorities are. All right. But in 10 years of training athletes, it never amazes me, or I will never get used to seeing people doing things that don't line up with their goals. Okay. It always amazes me to see the football player just trying to run miles, or, even the soccer player that's just told they have to run mile after mile after mile. Okay. And while there's a place for that, I don't think that it's the priority. They'll spend a couple weeks in the weight room at some point during the year, but they're told that they need to run all of the time. And so if we take a step back and we look at what the priorities are, I'm going to look at 2 ends of the spectrum. So one side would be, if you're a cross-country athlete, if you're looking to run a marathon or a half marathon or even a 5K, then cardiovascular work should probably be your first goal. The steady state cardio training is going to help you the most towards your performance goal. Okay. Beyond that, we want to add in some strength training and some flexibility, and then the other stuff can come later. Okay. If time is no issue, then we find a way to add all of it in. But if time is an issue, which it is for most people, then let's start with what's going to get you the most bang for your buck. If you are a football player, if you are a strength athlete, you want to increase how much weight you can squat or deadlift or bench press. You want to return to the glory days of what you were able to do when you were in high school, then strength training is going to be the most important thing for you. Strength training will start it, and then flexibility and interval training will come next. The cardiovascular training and the non-exercise activity stuff will be important for anybody, but less important if your goal is performance again. Okay. So the way that I've set up the Legacy Fit classes and what we run at the Legacy Center is that we prioritize strength training, we prioritize interval training, we prioritize flexibility, knowing that most people want a little bit of each. They want to feel better, they want to look better, they want to perform better, but ultimately looking and feeling better tend to be the goals. So we focus on strength. All right. We will lift weights every day, a total body program. I'm sorry, not every day, but 3 days a week. We'll do some interval training, and we'll do a lot of flexibility work. So if you have any questions on anything that I said, I'd love to hear from you. Okay. If you haven't joined, if you haven't jumped into a class at the Legacy Center, we'd love to have you. The first class is free. And if you are already a member of the Legacy Center and you do the Legacy Fit groups, then love to have you bring somebody and show them what it's all about. So again, if you have questions, reach out. And next week we're going to hit on nutrition. So I look forward to seeing you then.